So what is the vision in the software? How do we look at the software, and how do we think about making the software so that people can do this kind of good work? How do we ensure quality? So how does that actually work? Well, there's a lot of details to it, a lot of details to how the software works, and I'll just go into a couple of those. But before I do that, I want to talk about my overall philosophy of the design of social software. So imagine that you're going to design a restaurant, okay? And so just think about the problem of design for a restaurant. You want to design a restaurant, and you think to yourself, well, in this restaurant we're going to be serving steak, okay? And since we're going to be serving steak, we're going to have steak knives. And since we're going to have steak knives, people might stab each other. So how do we solve this problem? Well, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to build cages, right? And keep everybody in a cage to make sure no one stabs each other, right? Well, this makes for a bad society. We reject this kind of thinking in restaurant design, and yet this is the predominant paradigm for social software design. What we do is we sit down and we think we're going to design a website. We think of all of the bad things people might do, and we make sure that we have controls and permissions, everything to prevent people from doing the bad things, right? And this has two effects. One effect, the first effect is, when you prevent people from doing bad things, there's often very obvious and direct side effects that you prevent them from doing good things. If I look at a web page and I see a little spelling error, but I don't have permission to edit that page, I can't fix it, right? That's the first order effect, that by having complex permission models, you make it really hard for people to just spontaneously do good. But the second effect has to do with how human interactions are organized. How do people feel about each other? How do people feel about society? Many, many people report when they've been involved in some online mailing lists or things like this that, gee, it's so hostile. There's so many hostile communities on the internet. One of the reasons is that this kind of philosophy of trying to make sure that no one can hurt each other actually eliminates all the opportunities for trust. We had a situation in Wikipedia where somebody proposed on the mailing list, they said, well, everybody has a user page in Wikipedia, and most people just use their user page to put a picture of themselves and some information about who they are. And it really isn't for other people to edit, so why don't we just lock all the user pages, right? Because they are subject to vandalism and things like this. Well, a lot of us, the old-time Wikipedians, we went around and we put little statements on our user page, and mine is still there, as far as I know. I haven't looked lately. And it says, I trust you. You can edit this page, but please, if you do, make it better. Do something nice. In fact, there was a picture of me that I hated. It's been on there for months. And last night, I went to dinner with some Wikipedians. They took a picture, a very nice picture, and now that's on my user page, right? And yes, he's sitting right out here. And so that's the kind of thing that just happens spontaneously, and it couldn't happen if we didn't have that culture of trust to say, yeah, knock yourself out, fix my user page.